Hello again, everyone. As you probably know by now, I'm Professor Robert Romano. This week, in our overview of the American legal system, we're going to be talking about contracts. What a contract is, how a contract's formed, what different remedies are when a contract is breached, and so forth. Two important items that you need to be aware of, however, before we begin, are canons of interpretation. All right. First canon of interpretation says that when a court tries to interpret a contract as a whole in a way that makes sense for the entire contract, okay? Courts try to interpret a contract as a whole in a way that makes sense for the entire contract. So what does that mean? That means, let's say you have a contract and it's 10, 12 pages long, and throughout the first 10 pages it says this contract terminates on December 31st, 2014. It says that on 9 of the 10 pages. And then the last page it says it terminates on December 31st, 2020. Well, the court's going to look at the whole contract and gather from it that what the parties meant was that it ends on December 31st, 2014. Okay, it ends earlier than 2020 because that's what most of the contract says, and that's kind of lead everybody to believe that this is what they meant. Okay, so that's the first canon. The second canon of interpretation is that if there's ever an ambiguity in a document, if there's ever a misconception, or if there's ever a word that can be interpreted two different ways, the ambiguity will be interpreted most strictly against the party that drafted the document. All right, so if you have two parties entering into the terms of a contract and there's a dispute down the road because of an ambiguity, the courts will look at it and say, now, you drafted it, you should have understood what you were writing, you should have been more clear, therefore I'm going to rule in favor of the other party who did not write the contract because they interpreted it a certain way. Okay? Those are your two canons of interpretation right from the get-go. From here, my next question is to you. I want you to think about this for a moment. What is a contract? What do we mean by the word contract? Take a minute, write down on a piece of paper, write down somewhere, I don't care, what you feel a contract is. While you do that, I'm going to take a sip of my coffee. All right. What is a contract? Well, contract is basically an agreement between two or more parties. It can be just two or can be more, that create obligations on both sides. Both sides are obligated to do something or give up something that are otherwise enforceable or recognized by law. Okay? An agreement between two or more parties that create obligations that are enforceable or otherwise recognizable under the law. So you have an agreement. Two parties reach an agreement on some terms. It could be player's contract, could be an endorsement deal, could be sponsorship agreement, whatever. But two parties or more create obligations. One side has to do something, one side has to give up something, or both sides have to do something and give up something, and the other side has to do something and give up something that are enforceable or otherwise recognized under the law. Okay? There are 5 parts to a contract. In order for a contract to be valid, all 5 parts must be present. All right? Those 5 elements are offer, acceptance, consideration, legality, and capacity. Let's take these one at a time. What is meant by the term offer? What is an offer? I offer, I'll want to buy those sunglasses. I'll give you $20 for those sunglasses. That's an offer. All right? It is a promise to enter into certain terms. All right? So conditional promise or willingness to enter into terms. In my scenario, I would give you $20 for sunglasses. Those are the terms. Okay. This offer can be revoked. It can be revoked anytime before it has been accepted. Okay, so if I say I want I'll give you $20 for those sunglasses. The person behind the counter doesn't respond, and I say, I'm going to go over here instead. That's fine. I can revoke it anytime before it has been accepted. All right, as long as that revocation has been communicated to the offeree. An offer can be revoked up to acceptance as long as you tell the person that you're revoking the terms. Okay. That leads us to our second element of a contract. What is meant by the term acceptance? All right, we have an offer. I'll give you $20 for those sunglasses. What is meant by acceptance? Think about it. Okay. It's not a counteroffer. No, you say, no, I'll take 25 for those sunglasses. No, that's not acceptance. That's a counteroffer. Acceptance is a final, unqualified assent to the terms of the offer. You're saying, yes, I will agree to $20 for these sunglasses here. I am accepting it. I'm assenting to the terms of your offer. And it can only be made by the party to whom the offer was made. Okay? So I can say, I'll give you $20 for those sunglasses, Jimmy. Jimmy can say yes or no, I'll accept, but Billy can't. Fair enough? The third part to a contract is the term consideration. What do you think consideration means? No, write it down. I'm just kidding. Consideration is the exchange of value. Okay? In our scenario, the exchange of value is $20, which is valuable, and sunglasses, which are valuable. And it's the exchange of that value which is meant by the term consideration. Someone must give up something or do something in exchange for the other party doing the same. Okay? You have to give up something or do something in order for the courts to find consideration. In other words, it cannot be a gift. Okay? If you graduated from St. John's University and your mother or father give you a car and don't expect anything in exchange, that's a gift. There's no exchange of value. You're getting something, but you're not giving up something. Okay? When you go to the car dealership, though, and say, I want to buy this car, you give them the money, they give you the car. There's the exchange of value. You're giving up money for that vehicle. Fair enough? Consideration is an essential term needed to make the contract legal. All right, if there's lacking consideration, the contract is not a valid contract. What is meant by the term legality? Fourth element of a contract. Legality means that the underlying bargain must be for legal purposes. Okay? If it's not for a legal purpose, it is not a valid contract. Try to think in your head what illegal contracts are out there. Oh, gambling, right? Sometimes gambling contracts. I offer to give you, everybody bet on the Super Bowl, I'm assuming. Everybody put their little numbers in that pool. So if you won, in actuality, my stepmother won the family pool. She won $1,000. If we don't pay her, she can't sue us for it. She can't go to a court and say, hey, I'm getting gypped here $1,000. No, it's not for a legal purpose, except if the gambling is endorsed by the state. So like Vegas, where the gambling is legal, then that is for a legal purpose. Lotto in most states, you can collect. If you don't collect, you can sue the state for the money. Okay? Legality means it has to be for a legal purpose. Other items that are not necessarily legal are borrowing money from your neighborhood loan shark, or going down to your neighborhood dealer and on the weekends. I'm not going to say anything else. Right? These aren't for legal purposes. So therefore, it's not a valid contract and you can't be legally enforced within a court of law. The last element needed to make a contract, a valid contract, is capacity. All right? If there's a lack of capacity, the contract can be disavowed. What I mean by capacity is the ability to understand the nature and effects of one's own actions. There are usually two categories where one cannot understand the effects of one's acts. One is minors. Anyone under 18. If you're under 18, you are considered by law not to understand the nature and effects of your acts. Therefore, you cannot enter into a contract. Also, mentally incompetent. If you're found to be mentally incompetent, if you're elderly or you have an issue, you cannot enter into the terms of a contract. Okay? If you do, what it means is that the contract is valid but can be disaffirmed at any time. All right, so if no one ever challenges it, then it's fine. But if it comes out a year later that the person didn't have the mental capacity to enter into the terms, that contract can be disavowed. Fair enough? So, one question I always get during the face-to-face classes is, what about oral contracts? Oral contracts? Yes. Yes, they are. Oral contracts, generally speaking, are enforceable. But the problem is, it is difficult to establish the terms because everyone has his or her own memory. Everyone has his or her own interpretation of what the facts were. So it comes down to a matter of proof. If you have the requisite proof, then you can prove an oral contract. But if you don't, it's going to be difficult to prove an oral contract, especially if the other side's disputing it. So yes, oral contracts are valid contracts. However, it is difficult, not impossible, to establish the terms of the contract. All right, that's enough for now. I'll be posting different videos throughout the week on the series of contract issues that will come up. Today, I just wanted to give you a little overview of what the elements are of a contract. Tomorrow, we'll go into what breach of contract means and what can be done about it when someone breaches a contract. And then we're going to go over the Mike Rice contract. Okay, fair enough. So if anybody has any questions, comments, criticisms, please feel free to reach out as usual. I can be reached by phone, email, or we can always Skype.